ACES interviews. Conversations to empower. Introducing Sarah Taylor.
Hello and welcome to ACES interview conversations to empower. I'm Leo Coach and speaker. I'm joined today by Sarah Taylor, founder and CEO of ProudWellness. Sarah is passionate about making the wellness industry more LGBTQIA plus inclusive through training, education, and raising the visibility of queer wellness professionals. Thanks so much for joining me, Sarah. Now, I know we've been connected since the early days of ProudWellness, but I was wondering if you could explain where the idea came from to create an inclusive wellness space.
Absolutely. Hi, Leo. Thanks so much for inviting me on your podcast. It's really great to be here. So I'm Sarah. My pronouns are she, her. And yeah, as Leo said, I am a life coach, a diversity, equity, inclusion trainer, have my own podcast, although it's a bit having a rest at the moment, called the Queerpreneur Podcast. It might come back. And yeah, I also do some speaking, and yeah, really all about creating a more LGBTQIA plus inclusive wellness industry and making sure that wellness services are easily accessible and affirming and inclusive for LGBTQIA plus people, because right now that's not the case. And that is really, I suppose, at the heart of ProudWellness, and why I created and founded ProudWellness, and where the idea came from, Leo, in terms of your question, was really around my own personal experience of coming out as a queer woman, as a gay woman, which took a very, very long time because of the stigma and the discrimination and the fears that I had about being gay. Yeah, I was really had a lot of shame about that, and a lot of fear about coming out, even to myself. I didn't do that until I was 30. Yeah, denying and struggling to accept my sexuality as a gay woman was a really tough journey for me. And along the way, and since, I've really struggled with my own mental health. I've struggled with finding counselors and therapists to support me that I felt that I could feel safe with, and when we are accessing wellness services, whether it is a counselor or a therapist, or whether it's a yoga class, whether it's a personal training session, whatever it might be, the last thing we want to do is to be going into these spaces or accessing these spaces feeling like our sexuality or our gender identity is going to be a problem. It's going to be an issue. It's going to be something that will get in the way of us being able to fully benefit from those services. And whether that's related to our own struggles about who we are and who we love, or whether that's related to the professional who doesn't understand, has no idea about our lived experience, or has learned anything about that, has learned about our history, has learned about the types of struggles, the unique, often unique struggles that queer people, that LGBTQIA plus people struggle with. That's a barrier before we even step through the door. And LGBTQ plus people are in so much need of supportive wellness services. My own lived experience, the people that I speak to, the people that I meet from the queer community, and I will use queer interchangeably with LGBTQIA plus, the people that I meet, the statistics that are out there as well around the fact that LGBTQIA plus people are twice as likely to struggle with mental health, more than twice as likely to struggle with their mental health, to struggle with anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation. And when you look at trans, non-binary, and gender diverse people, they are 4 times as likely to struggle. It's not surprising when you see what's going on out there in the world, when you live as a queer person and you experience the discrimination and the stigma still today. So anyone that's listening, and Leo, I'm sure that you'll agree with me on this. Anyone that's listening and thinks, yeah, but it's getting better, isn't it? You know, you've got equal marriage now. Leo's like shaking his head. No, there are still so many challenges, so much discrimination, so much hate out there, particularly for trans, non-binary, and gender diverse people right now. And those people, queer people, LGBTQIA plus people, really need wellness services so much. You know, and if we can find and access inclusive, understanding, affirming therapists, counselors, yoga classes, fitness classes, personal trainers, nutritionists, whoever you may be out there listening, it's literally life-saving. That's why I'm so passionate about it. It could make the difference for people. You know, such a huge difference that will change their lives and literally save it. And that's why ProudWellness is so important. And ProudWellness, I'll stop talking in a minute about this particular thing, you know, for now. But ProudWellness isn't me. Yes, I am the founder, but it's the community of wellness professionals, the incredible people that we've got on our online directory. Leo is one of those people who are there to support LGBTQIA plus people to live happy, fulfilling lives, healthy lives that they deserve equally, just as worthy of living healthy, happy, fulfilled lives of everybody else, right? So yeah, I am deeply passionate about it. And that's why it matters.
I think it's interesting. I just wanted to pick up on something he said. Well, I think people who are maybe not part of the queer LGBTQIA plus community may be under the impression that things are better than they are, and also that overall the society is more inclusive, so they may be under the impression, well, why is it necessary to have a specific sort of the community platform of wellness professionals who are actively out there saying, look, we are here, we are inclusive, we are safe. And I think what I would say is it's greatly needed, and it is so important because in my experience, sometimes those sort of professions don't feel like they are there for us. They don't feel like they're safe. And also maybe not all the time about kind of hostility or safety, but also about understanding. You know, if you go to a therapist or a counselor, you really want that professional to have some level of knowledge or understanding, or at the very least, open mindedness about your identity, about your sexuality, And unfortunately, even though we may presume that it's not an issue nowadays because it shouldn't be, actually it is, and it can be extremely detrimental for someone who is LGBTQIA to go to the wrong professional and have a hostile reaction.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what you're saying there is really true, in that I think people who aren't LGBTQIA plus, and some who are, to be fair, you know, I think this is where things like privilege come into play, potentially. Think that, yes, haven't necessarily done the work, if you like, or really ask the people, you know, the LGBTQIA plus people, who, or listen to their stories or listen to their experience about the reality of what it is like. So I think a simple example, and I think the real heartbreaking part of this and the risk of this the reality out there, that wellness spaces aren't safe and affirming and inclusive, is that queer people may, you know, and sometimes it takes, you know, for all of us to pluck up the courage to go to a new class or go to see a new counselor. You know, we are usually looking for something that is going to support our wellness, support our well-being. We are often in a place where we're struggling. And so initially we've done the work to pluck up the courage to go and visit this person or see this person or book an appointment. And if that first interaction is harmful to us, so if, for example, a trans person or a non-binary person or a gender diverse person goes into that space, and the first kind of obvious thing that may happen is that someone will make an assumption about their gender and they get misgendered, the harm and the discomfort of that experience for that person has already dysregulated their nervous system, has already meant that the ability or the capability for them to really appreciate, if it's a yoga class, you know, they may stay, they may leave, they may, God knows what. If they stay, they're probably in a heightened state of, you know, distress. And they're there to bloody relax. They're there to have a beautiful experience. And immediately that's been compromised at best. And will they ever come back to that class? Possibly not, you know. So these things are happening all the time. And I would say to yoga teachers or personal trainers or anyone that's doing that kind of work, you might not even know what you've done to that person. So to say that, oh, it's fine, you know, I'm sure I have, you know, all sorts in my classes, you do not know that. So I think that's an important distinction or point to raise here. And I think also going to a therapist or a counsellor, I really love what you said there, Leo, about, you know, them being open-minded, them being willing to learn, and them being knowing that they may not know everything. No one knows everything there is to know. You and I don't know everything there is to know about LGBTQIA plus people. We never will, in my opinion. This is going to be learning forever. And yet, you know, holding space for somebody in a way where you're not making assumptions about what their experience is, you know, just because you've met one trans person or one lesbian or whatever, you have no idea, you know, like really putting your assumptions to one side and learning about that person's unique experiences, which I think as coaches, Leo, we have learned to do that with all of our coaching clients. not always easy because we come with our own lenses, we come with our own thoughts and beliefs and attitudes and all of those things. But that is a great starting place. It's when you, I recently, I'll share a personal story with you. I recently reached out to a counsellor because I'm looking for a new counsellor, psychotherapist. And I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna give the non-LGBTQIA plus counsellors and therapists, I'm gonna give it a shot, right? Because normally I'm like, no, it has to be someone that's LGBTQIA plus, because I don't want to go through that thing of like explaining what it's like to be LGBTQIA plus, explaining the fact that we're walking around, you know, in society with people making assumptions about us all the time. You know, people making assumptions about me that I am straight, making assumptions about me that I'm going to have an opposite sex partner, I'm going to have one partner, all of the things, right? And you have to sort of like go through this first bit with your new therapist explaining all of that. I just like, you don't need it, especially if you're going because you've got internalized homophobia or shame around, you know, that part of you. So, but I thought, personal story, go back to my personal story, I'll reach out to someone on Psychology's, you know, that online website for therapists. Reached out, I really loved all the modalities this person had, and I said, look, I need to say it up front, I would usually, you know, ensure that I kind of work with someone from the LGBTQIA plus community because of these reasons. And I was very generous in the way that I shared that with them. I felt really, you know, expecting the best from them and hoping, you know, holding them in the highest vision of how they're going to come back to me and all of those things. And they emailed me back and said, of course I've worked with LGBTQI plus people. I live in Brighton, ! And I was like, how effing dismissive is that? You know, of course I know lots of, it was that kind of, yeah, I've been to Pride, of course I'm inclusive or whatever. And I just thought it was just shocking, that person's response. And it just was like, nope, you're not for me. And it's just that kind of like mindset and attitude that, you know, yeah, it really demonstrated to me that they did not understand what I could potentially be bringing into that space. And it certainly wasn't reassuring or affirming or understanding of how to help me feel safe with them. So yeah, loads of work to do.
That response sounds incredibly dismissive and also defensive. And I think there's a lot of defensiveness. I wanted to go back to the example of the yoga class and, you know, the use of the wrong pronoun to the professional. They may see that as something so small and say, well, you know, I didn't mean to, does it really matter? And that what, in my opinion, that's what we need to change, because we need to help to shift the defensiveness and dismissiveness, and for people to be more open to going, oh, I'm so sorry, I got your pronoun wrong, please correct me, you know. Okay, so you identify as they, okay, I have to say, I'm not that familiar with that, but please explain to me. Well, actually, I think that also another kind of area, because it should never be the responsibility of an LGBTQI person to claim their identity, and then they're willing to. But I think if you don't mind, and if you are feeling able to talk to that professional, if they are open-minded and also not hostile, that will help a lot in
Yeah.
how the queer person feels in that situation.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right there too, in terms of the example of misgendering. And there, that there are many ways to misgender somebody, point to a toilet, for example, that you've made an assumption about, or perhaps it's a part of a clothes store, or perhaps it's, I think people still say things like sir and madam and things like that, don't they? God knows why. All those sorts of things. But yeah, I think making mistakes and being just being able to receive that feedback, in a way that is without that defensiveness, in a way that is, we need to get better at receiving it, so it's not necessarily, I think, like you say, some people can be hostile, upfront hostile and discriminatory and exclusionary and all of those things, and other people may make mistakes because that is a genuine mistake, and we all do, I think from time to time it happens, but knowing then how to turn that into, it sounds a bit cliche, doesn't it? But it could be a genuine learning experience, and having the conversation with somebody, as in, like you just said there, Leo, oh, okay, so your pronouns are they, them. Right, okay, I've got that, sorry that I made that mistake there. Not making it like a big thing, not like making it into something that is gonna make it bigger than it needs to be, and moving on.
It should feel a queer person's responsibility to educate someone. If you are willing to, and if it comes to talk for you, then that's fine. But I don't think anyone should feel it's their responsibility. In my case, it's not my responsibility to educate someone about being a trans man.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. So definitely agree with you. It's not LGBTQIA plus people's responsibility to educate people around how to, not make assumptions about people's gender, sexuality, inclusive language, terminology, how to create safer spaces for LGBTQI plus people, how to look at your processes in your business, the way that the customer journey for your LGBTQIA plus clients, all of those things, which we certainly do talk about in ProudWellness, and we do help people with that. It's one of the things that we do, is provide education and resources around those things, because me and Leo, you do this too, we are educators, so that's part of our job. And when we are working, yes, you can ask us about those things, but for people who aren't doing that as work, it is emotional. It's emotional labor it takes from us, because it's deeply personal. And I think that is sometimes something that people also just disregard, don't even think about that part of it. And I think the other thing that made me think about with the yoga class example is that if you are in that sort of environment and someone does make a mistake, or, makes an assumption about your gender or your sexual orientation, makes a reference to your husband or your boyfriend, we then have to make a snap decision, you know, are we going to come out at that point? Are we going to correct that person, you know, as kindly and as generously as we can, not knowing how they're going to react, not knowing if it is going to cause us, I suppose, harm, as well as create that disconnect, potentially further disconnect with the whole wellness experience. Again, going back to that we're there for. And it's just like, yeah, it really does break my heart, this stuff, because I think we're all missing out. The professionals, the wellness professionals are missing out on having and supporting great, you know, doing great work with LGBTQIA plus people, the work that they're so passionate about, the work that they got into wellness for. Everyone that works in wellness is here to help people, is here to support them to live happy, healthy, fulfilled lives, right? And they are creating a massive barrier in that actually being possible. And also for the clients, the LGBTQIA plus clients, who are having limited experiences, compromised experiences. Yeah. So there's a lot to do. And some of it could be improved in quite simple ways, actually. It takes a bit of courage sometimes. It takes being a little bit uncomfortable, sharing your pronouns verbally, those sorts of things. People are like, oh yeah, I can put it on my email, you know, that feels all right. It's easy, isn't it? We can all put it on our email. We can all put it on our Instagram handle. But how often still, unless you're in a queer space, do you hear somebody announcing and introducing themselves, rather, with their pronouns? Very rare. I don't know what you think, Leo.
Very rare. And like you said, it's such an easy little step that we could do to improve our inclusivity of whatever situation we may be in. So I wanted to ask you my second question. What do you find empowering?
Empowering. Yes. What I find empowering is community. I think community with a shared vision, a shared goal for change is so empowering for me. I think there's huge opportunity for us to create change when we come together. I love the way it feels when people come together with not necessarily just queer community. I think, you know, the community that we create with Proud Wellness, when I go to LGBTQIA plus events, yes, you know, you just get that feeling of like, we get each other, which I love. And it's, I think, partly because we are a minority group. So we rarely get that feeling, you know, we're so often used to feeling like we're the only queer person in the room, especially in the wellness industry. Leo, you and I have talked about this as coaches. When we are in coaching communities, it's like, oh, are we the only LGBTQI plus person here? And we're probably not, but we're so invisible. It's shocking. And again, for wellness professionals, that needs to change. You know, one of the things that Proud Wellness is here for is to raise the visibility and the representation of queer people working in wellness, and to make, and to not to make, I'm not going to force anybody, but to ensure that other LGBTQIA plus people who are out there thinking, oh, you know, is the wellness sector for me? Yes, it bloody is. We need more queer people working in wellness, out queer people. And I don't for a moment believe that everyone has to be out in their business. For some people, it's just not safe. But for those of us that can be, I think it's such a powerful statement. So yeah, I'd say community. And, you know, we can uplift and support each other. we celebrate our differences, we celebrate the diversity of who we all are, and yeah, we give each other the strength really to do what we do in the best possible way. So yeah.
You and I have both got experience in the coaching world, and obviously only one of the wellness professions we are talking about here. But I definitely agree that the representation of LGBTQIA people, plus people in that community does feel very kind of hidden. And I pick up on your point about I don't think any professional should feel a pressure to come out because they don't wish to make that a part of their job, part of their coaching or what other profession they're doing, then not necessary. But if they do wish to work with the queer community and they are comfortable coming out, we do need them there, and we do need to know that they're there. And I wanted to also circle back to privilege and especially coaching, just because that area I do know more about other rather than other wellness professions, and I do think there's a big correlation between privilege, coaching, and accessibility.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think?
In terms of the wellness profession being full of people with, yeah, a lot of privilege. Yes. And I think that is a massive barrier to accessibility and inclusion, because I think it was, I don't know if you know Lady Phil, the founder of Black Pride, but Lady Phil said this in the most powerful way, and I know that she's not the only person that said this, but you can't be what you can't see. And I think that you know, like whether you are a client looking for services or whether you're someone working in the wellness industry, it is so white, cis-normative, heteronormative, ableist, and you know, and more. And you know, this is again, all of these things are really in the way of the people, usually and often the people that need wellness support the most, being able to access it. So yeah, so much change needs to happen, but we are doing it. You know, we are creating change by being here, by doing the work, by being on social media like you are, Leo, like doing this podcast. You know, all of these things are creating change, and that is, you know, something that I want for Proud Wellness, is to grow. And we're going to have, you know, we're going to be setting up an advisory panel for Proud Wellness, which is going to be much more diverse. And part of the reason for that is to grow our diversity of wellness professionals and practitioners, and to make a bigger impact, and to make sure that people know what we stand for, why it matters, and why we need more, you know. So we are changing it, because it's ingrained in the wellness industry. It's ingrained in the institutions, it's ingrained in the training organizations, it's ingrained in the professional bodies, you know, just like society. It's a great reflection of our heteronormative, cis-normative society, really. And yeah, but we will change it by being ourselves, by being out there, by being visible, and by having the conversations and helping raise awareness and getting more and more people to know and understand what it means to be inclusive and why it matters so much. So, yeah.
And I think change and inclusivity is a cumulative, and I think, the more little steps we
Yeah.
can all take, they slowly build up
Yeah.
until we achieve something much bigger and greater. So
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of covered this the whole way through anyway, but you may want to give a more direct answer. I don't know. But what difference would you like to see or make in the world?
Yeah, I think what difference I want to see is that, every LGBTQIA plus person knows, deep to their core, deep in their heart, deep in their being, in their truth, that they are equally deserving of a happy, fulfilled, healthy, joyful life, and that they know where they can go to get the support they need, because all of us, regardless of gender or sexuality, all humans, I believe at times need support with that, need guidance. We all need support to live healthy lives, fulfilling lives, and LGBTQIA plus people know where to go. They're not scratching around like, will this person be okay? Will this person be safe for me? Will this person, are they going to hurt me? Are they going to harm me because of who I am and who I love? Well, I don't want that anymore. That is the difference I'd like to see, the change that I'm here for. And that's what drives me, that's my purpose, really. So yeah, thank you for the question.
Yeah, definitely. And I think proud wellness, although you haven't been going all that long, already you have made such big strides, and the community that you're creating are definitely, making positive changes for the queer LGBTQI plus community.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think, it'll be our first birthday, our first official birthday in June this year. So yeah, we've been doing the work since about May, June last year. So yeah, we got, we got big plans. So yeah, we just need to take care of ourselves. It's really important when we're doing this work, especially like I said earlier, it's really deeply personal. And yeah, incremental steps, small steps are just as good as your coach coming out in you now, Leo. Just as powerful, just as, they're making that difference. I think it's like that. I quite like that 1% better every day, Add that up at the end of the day, it's like, what, at the end of the year, that's like 365%. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
So, where and how can people connect with you or Proud Wellness?
Yeah. The best way to connect with me is at ProudWellness on Instagram. That's our handle. Or our website is www.proudwellness.com. Or by email. So you can email us at hello@proudwellness.com. I am on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook. You can find me under Sarah Taylor. But yeah, I'm not on there so much. So if you want me to respond, probably Instagram or email.
And I share all the social media links mention them with this interview. Thank you very much to my guest, Sarah Taylor, for joining me today. Thank you, everybody, for watching and now listening. I find all the other interviews on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, or Apple Podcasts. And Ace's interview will be back soon with another powerful conversation. Bye for now.
Thanks for watching Ace's interviews. Find out more about Sarah Taylor in the show notes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow.